Welcome to hell again.
Wow, you're a
We're
pretty
entering
local,
Diablo
huh?
2 universe
Nice
and,
to meet you.
well, it
Seems
has
like you're
been
your kind around here.
getting a
I'm a
slight
little jealous. I wish
makeover
I could go off
and it
adventuring
looks
with you.
great.
Oh, by the way,
Now, I will
you
say
shall
that
see
this
the
beta
boss
really
lady.
started on the wrong weekend for me because I was working the whole weekend, but I still got a few hours in and I managed to get my druid a few most levels. Got to Act 2, but didn't complete the Act 2, unfortunately, as I
Beware
didn't have much time
goblins
and
and
I wanted to
beasts.
experience all the other classes that were available. It's unfortunate that two of the classes, the Assassin and Necromancer, weren't available during this beta. So there are 7 classes in total, just like the Diablo 2 original, with the expansion, the Lord of Destruction expansion, of course. Now, let's get into the game and what I think about it. It's a pretty great game. It has the look of a new game with all the details and animations, and it still has the feel of the original, which is just great. It's a good combination, which takes me back, I would say, because I have played the original for quite a few hours. And when I say quite a few hours, I mean at like maybe 100 hours at least. And I played it quite a lot in my early teenage years because, well, I had some friends that liked it, and, well, we just played the shit out of it back then. We really liked it, and we did have some. I did have some issues with the game, mainly because I tended to never get the things I wanted. I did have a druid that became very strong and powerful, at about level 85 or something like that. But well, soon enough it faded out and I stopped playing. The most problem I had with the game was the kind of rune. You know, if you have played Diablo 2 before, you know the runes are basically the currency in the game. And well, I didn't play enough to really get the runes, or rather, I was rather
I hear foul
uh,
creatures around.
I didn't have much luck with getting high runes and be able to get what I wanted always. I did have some luck from time to time, and I managed to trade myself some things here and there. Now, let's move on from that and say that the level of new details added to the game are very nice. Details are much more in depth and much more, uh, I would say, accurate, or rather, they're much bigger than I thought they would be. And the details to the characters, environment, enemies, and items are very nicely added and fits well with the, well, overall theme of Diablo 2, the a bit dark and gritty Diablo 2 experience that, well, some of us are used to. Some enemies have changed slightly, and some have changed more in depth, and they have so many more details to them that I don't know where to begin, that they almost look like an entirely new enemy. Some of these changes I am less happy with, but for the most part, I would say 99% of the enemies I have encountered, I really like the change. I mean, there's many of them are just upgraded graphics that they maybe. For one thing, there was this kind of giant that you face. Is a bit bigger. I actually thought that in the original they were kind of rock monsters or something, and I actually discovered in this that they have fur, so they're not rock monsters. They are creatures, beasts. So I was like, oh, well, there's a new thing. So that was a bit fun to discover. Well, and since only Act 1 and 2 were playable, I haven't experienced that many different enemies, but the ones I have fought and watched were just great. I have to say my favorite must be the corrupted rogues in Act 1 that you start facing in cold plains, because I zoomed in on those. If you press F, you can zoom in, and The level of details on them were really striking, from the armor and the what looks like corruption that could come from Andariel, the Maiden of Anguish, or the lesser evil that you face at the end of the game, or end of the act, sorry. You kill her at the end of Act 1, and I have to say, the level of details are striking, and I believe it's the corruption from her that is supposed to be the red veins that go through them, because in the lore she corrupts some of the rogue sisters and turns them evil. And I have to say, the details never stop. I saw new details everywhere and all the time. Even when I replayed an area, I was like, oh, I didn't notice that before. I love that. Now, playing with others, creating a game and so on were just the original. Actually, 95% of the game, I would say, is like the original, especially when it comes to gameplay. I will possibly release a kind of beginner's guide or a few tips for new players, because I believe this new Resurrected version will probably most likely draw in some new players, and I'm not gonna say I'm an expert on this game, but yeah, definitely I will release a video on them. Now, if you're playing with others, remember that if you have a friend who needs to complete a quest that you have completed, now they must create the game. That is my first tip here, and only tip I would say in this video. But they need to create the game, because if you have completed the game and you create the game, they can't complete it. Exactly why, I don't know, but that's how it works. The player who hasn't completed the quest needs to create the game. So yeah, now you know that. But what a question I think is on almost everybody's mind is the game worth $40? $40? Well, that depends a little bit, but if you have played Diablo 2 before but didn't get too much into it, you didn't feel like, oh, it was fun, but I didn't play for too long, I would say no. Wait for it. Wait a while before, well, you play it. Wait for a sale, perhaps, I would say. Now, if you didn't like the game just because of the graphics, well, then go for it. The graphics are excellent. They are top-notch graphics. There are some things that look better than others, but generally, I really like them. And of course, the animations are also upgraded. Now, there is one thing I noticed by the animations. Enemy death animations are still the same, but since they are upgraded ragdoll effects of the enemies, they look the same, but aren't the same, if that makes sense. I mean, they look so much better because of the effects of the ragdoll on the enemies when they clench their chest or fly up in the air or whatever they do, or burn up. Now, if you are a veteran of Diablo 2, chances are that you have already pre-ordered and played this closed beta and have your own opinion on the game. So I'm gonna leave that and go to veteran but have not played the beta. Keep in mind that there is not much new here. There is, as I said, basically nothing new in the game. The game is just like the original one, so if you like the original one, you're probably gonna love this one with the updated graphics and some of the quality of life changes. Some quality of life changes are the shared stash tabs that you have. You have your own personal stash for that character, but you also have, was it 3 tabs? Yeah, I think it was 3 or 4 tabs that are shared among all your characters. In these shared tabs, you can store any item you want, or, well, except for quest items, of course. Now you can put runes or gems or even gold in there. Now keep in mind that the gold is not shared among the characters unless you put the gold in the tabs. Now, as there are 4 tabs, 3 shared and 1 personal, you can put individual gold piles in each tab, so you can have a massive amount of gold. The top, you can at most have 2.5 million in each of them, so that's a lot of gold. Not that you will need 2.5 or rather 10 million gold, but you can have it. Now, if you're a veteran but have not played, again, you will most likely like the game because of the quality of life change and graphic updates, but you still need to ask yourself if you're willing to buy the game just because of the graphics and the quality of life changes. But that's entirely up to you. If you have never played Diablo 2, this is a great way to introduce yourself to it, as it is just like the original but looks better. It will most likely feel a bit overwhelming at first, maybe, but it is a somewhat slower game than Diablo 3, so you won't get overwhelmed by the enemies. But keep in mind that this game is a bit more difficult than Diablo 3. Even in normal mode, the second boss can completely destroy you. She's a bit overpowered, but she can be taken down. But don't take my word for this. On this Friday, on the 20th of August, there will be an open beta for Diablo 2 Resurrected. So, don't take my word for it. Play it yourself. Try the game for free this Friday through the weekend. Now, all you need is a Battle.net account, the Battle.net launcher, and of course internet. And then you can easily download the open beta on maybe Thursday or Wednesday, I would say. I'm not sure when. Maybe it can even be downloaded right now. So be sure to check that out if you want to try out the game. Now I've been Sweepy92, have a great life, and I hope to see you in future videos. Bye bye!
What a tragic end to Tristram. Deckard Cain, leave quickly.